Imagine a rocket standing tall on the launch pad in Florida, the sea air brushing against its sleek metallic frame, its payload safely tucked away inside. A payload not meant for Earth or even the Moon but for Mars. This is New Glenn Blue Origin's first orbital-class rocket, a powerful new contender in humanity's ongoing race to the Red Planet. And inside this rocket sits Escapade, a pair of small satellites about the size of washing machines, quietly waiting to begin one of the most ambitious and unusual interplanetary journeys ever attempted. What makes this mission even more intriguing is the collaboration behind it. NASA, Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, and the University of California, Berkeley, all joining forces to unlock Mars' ancient secrets. The Escapade mission, short for Escape and Plasma Acceleration and Dynamics Explorers, has a purpose as bold as its name. These twin satellites will orbit Mars and study how its magnetic field interacts with the solar wind, a stream of charged particles constantly emitted by the Sun. Unlike Earth, Mars doesn't have a global magnetic field to shield it. Instead, localized magnetic fields dot the Martian crust, creating a chaotic, swirling environment of charged particles and atmospheric erosion. By placing two spacecraft in orbit, scientists will get simultaneous measurements from different points in space, offering a dynamic 3D view of how the planet responds to space weather. It's not just about Mars. It's about how planets evolve and how atmospheres vanish. And maybe, just maybe, how Earth might one day face a similar fate. These satellites were built by Rocket Lab, the innovative commercial company best known for its Electron rocket. But instead of flying on their own launch vehicle, the Escapade payload is hitching a ride with Blue Origin's behemoth. That alone is extraordinary. Because unlike most missions which avoid launching important hardware on unproven rockets, Escapade was once meant to ride aboard New Glenn's very first flight. That plan ultimately didn't pan out. Delays in getting the rocket ready for the launch pad caused the mission to miss its carefully timed Mars transfer window. But now, with New Glenn's first test flight successfully completed earlier this year, albeit with a failed attempt to recover the booster, attention turns once again to Escapade and its long-awaited second chance. The current schedule targets a launch sometime between August and September. But here's the twist. Mars launch windows usually open once every 26 months, when Earth and Mars align just right in their orbits around the Sun. That's the efficient path, the one that uses the least energy, known as the Hohmann transfer. So how can Escapade fly to Mars in a year when the window is technically closed? That's where things get fascinating. The New Glenn rocket is incredibly overpowered for this mission. Designed to lift heavy payloads to high orbits or even to the Moon, it can easily carry two 120-kilogram probes far beyond Earth. In fact, New Glenn can loft nearly 7,000 pounds to lunar orbit, and it doesn't require much more energy to reach Mars. That performance margin opens the door to creative, complex trajectories never before used on interplanetary missions. The scientists at UC Berkeley, in partnership with mission engineers and trajectory experts, devised an unusual but viable solution. Instead of heading directly to Mars, Escapade will first travel to the Sun-Earth L2 Lagrange point, the same region in space where the James Webb Space Telescope currently orbits. From there, the spacecraft will perform a gravity assist maneuver around Earth, using our planet's gravitational pull to slingshot itself toward the Red Planet. This path is longer, slower, and far more complicated than a traditional Mars shot, but it works. And it turns a delay into an opportunity. The new trajectory doesn't just preserve the mission, it enhances it. As Escapade cruises through deep space, the twin satellites will gather data on the solar wind, studying it from regions near Earth that we rarely examine. These bonus observations could improve our understanding of how space weather behaves near our planet, adding a valuable layer of science to an already compelling mission. It's like getting two missions in one. And even though this path means a longer exposure to cosmic radiation and the harsh vacuum of space, engineers are confident the satellites can handle the journey. If everything proceeds as planned, Escapade should arrive in Martian orbit by September 2027. Once there, the spacecraft will spend over a year performing their primary mission. Their instruments will study plasma structures, charged particle flows, and the turbulent boundary between the Martian atmosphere and interplanetary space. By flying in tandem, the satellites can triangulate data points, offering high-resolution insight into how solar wind energy enters and affects the Martian system. That's the key to unraveling one of the great mysteries of Mars. What happened to its atmosphere? Billions of years ago, Mars was warm, wet, and perhaps even teeming with life. Rivers carved valleys into the surface. Lakes formed in craters and a thick atmosphere kept the climate stable. But something changed. The magnetic field that once protected the planet disappeared, and the atmosphere began to leak into space. Over eons, Mars transformed into the frozen desert we see today. By studying how energy from the sun interacts with what little atmosphere remains, Escapade hopes to piece together this planetary crime scene, clues that could also teach us about Earth's own vulnerabilities in the face of solar forces. This mission is also a milestone for Blue Origin. After years of delays and development challenges, the company is finally proving that New Glenn isn't just a concept, it's a flying machine. This upcoming launch marks the rocket's transition from test article to trusted transporter. And the fact that NASA is willing to put real science on board says a lot. Even more interesting is that this marks the first true collaboration between Jeff Bezos' space company and America's top space agency on an interplanetary scale. It shows that commercial space is no longer limited to launching satellites into Earth orbit or ferrying cargo to the International Space Station. Companies like Blue Origin and Rocket Lab are beginning to play a real role in the broader solar system exploration effort. And we shouldn't overlook what this means for Rocket Lab. Though better known for launching small satellites to low Earth orbit, their involvement in Escapade proves they're a serious player in the spacecraft development game. Building twin interplanetary probes for NASA is no small feat. Every subsystem must be reliable. Every gram of mass must be justified. And the spacecraft must survive years of travel through unforgiving space to operate perfectly at Mars. This partnership could open the door for Rocket Lab to contribute to more ambitious planetary science missions in the future. Altogether, the Escapade mission embodies everything that's changing about space exploration right now. It's a blend of public and private collaboration, of traditional science and next-generation launch systems. It's agile, it's economical, and it's driven by creative thinking. It takes a missed deadline and turns it into a new opportunity. And when those little washing machine-sized probes finally reach Mars in 2027, they might just rewrite everything we thought we knew about the red planet's past, and our own planet's future. While SpaceX grabs much of the spotlight, there's another aerospace titan getting ready to shake up the stage in a very big way. Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos, has been working in relative quiet for years, carefully constructing its ambitions piece by piece. But that quiet is about to be broken. This year marks a significant turning point for the company, as Blue Origin prepares for the very first launch of its powerful New Glenn rocket, a rocket designed not just to reach space, but to go far beyond Earth's boundaries. This isn't just a test flight, it's a declaration that Blue Origin is finally ready to compete in the arena of deep space exploration. And that's only the beginning. The company is already planning for the moon. In fact, development is well underway on their Blue Moon lander, a spacecraft designed to touch down on the lunar surface and pave the way for human exploration. The current focus is on building and preparing the first variant, Blue Moon Mark 1. This isn't a crewed lander, but a cargo-focused Pathfinder mission that could launch as early as October or November of this year. And if that mission succeeds, it sets the stage for something far more ambitious. That's because Blue Moon Mark 1 is just a stepping stone. The real target is Blue Moon Mark 2, a larger, more advanced vehicle that will play a central role in NASA's Artemis V mission. That mission, scheduled for the coming years, aims to land humans on the moon again, and Blue Origin is one of the few private players entrusted with delivering the hardware to make that happen. But before any astronauts board a Blue Origin lander, Mark 1 needs to prove it can handle the basics. Descending from lunar orbit, navigating the terrain, and softly touching down on the surface. Now let's be clear. Even though it's a cargo variant, Mark 1 would be the largest spacecraft to ever land on the moon if the mission is successful. Slightly bigger than the legendary Apollo lunar module, Mark 1's bulk and complexity represent a significant step forward in lunar lander technology. But success is anything but guaranteed. Getting to Earth orbit? That's one thing. Blue Origin has already shown New Glenn can handle that part. Getting from Earth orbit to lunar orbit? Still within the realm of the manageable, that's been done many times by many nations. But actually landing on the moon? That's where things tend to go wrong. Historically, lunar landings are one of the hardest maneuvers in all of spaceflight. The moon has no atmosphere to help slow a descent, meaning engines and thrusters must do all the work. There's no room for error. Altitude, velocity, trajectory, fuel margins, every variable must be perfect. Even small mistakes can end in disaster. India, Japan, Israel, Russia, all have faced recent failures. In fact, aside from China, most attempts in the last decade to land anything on the moon have ended in twisted metal and broken dreams. So if Blue Origin's first attempt doesn't go perfectly, it won't be a surprise. It won't be a disgrace. It'll just mean they're playing the same difficult game as everyone else. Because space, especially lunar space, is brutally hard. Still, the fact that Blue Origin is even attempting this shows how far private industry has come. And they're not the only ones reaching higher. South Korea, a country not usually mentioned in the same breath as the spacefaring superpowers, is quietly laying down some of the most ambitious plans of all. In 2024, South Korea officially launched its own national space agency, called KASA, the Korean Aerospace Space Administration. Modeled in part after NASA, KASA was created to unify the country's space efforts, streamline research and development, and form new international and industrial partnerships that can fuel a much bigger vision. That vision includes not just Earth orbit but the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Korea already has its own orbital launch vehicle, Lunar, a domestically developed rocket that first flew in 2021. With the ability to carry payloads of up to 3 tons into orbit, Lunar made South Korea only the 7th country in the world capable of launching heavy satellites without foreign assistance. That's a huge milestone for any country. But Korea isn't stopping there. In 2022, the nation launched its very first lunar orbiter, Danuri, aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9. That spacecraft is still in operation today, quietly circling the moon, gathering critical data for the missions to come. KASA's next big leap will come in 2032, when they plan to launch a robotic lander to the moon's surface. If that works, a more advanced lander will follow by 2040, equipped to help build what the agency calls an economic base on the moon by the year 2045. That phrase, economic base, hints at long-term thinking. Not just science missions. Not just flags and footprints. But infrastructure, industry, and commerce. Korea even hopes to land a mission on Mars that same year. In just 2 decades, they want to leapfrog from lunar orbiters to interplanetary landings. It's bold, no doubt, but ambition is the oxygen of spaceflight. And while all of this unfolds, the Starship saga continues. SpaceX's mega rocket has been pushing the limits of what's possible at breakneck speed, but not without cost. Just a few weeks ago, a routine ground test turned into a fiery spectacle when a Starship upper stage experienced a catastrophic failure on the stand. The entire vehicle was reduced to a mangled wreck of scorched steel. It was the kind of event that might have derailed another company. But SpaceX doesn't stop. In fact, they've already pivoted. Even though the test stand was badly damaged, the engineers at Starbase quickly devised a workaround. They're now modifying a mount originally built for the Super Heavy booster to accommodate the upper stage Starship instead. The key: a custom ring adapter that bridges the gap between the ship and the mount, allowing for static fire tests to resume. This adapter ring was just completed, and with it in place, Starship testing is officially back on track. Static fires are a vital step before any launch. They verify that all the plumbing, pressurization, and engine ignition systems are working as expected. And given how the last Starship exploded before it even left the ground, everyone's watching this next round of tests very closely. Still, as wild as these failures may seem, they're all part of the plan. Every explosion, every misfire, every heat shield burned through, it's all data. SpaceX learns, adapts, and tries again. That's the culture at Starbase. Progress through iteration even if it means making a few craters along the way. Elon Musk, never one to undersell expectations, posted an update on July 14 saying that Starship could launch again in about 3 weeks. Which, depending on how familiar you are with Elon time, probably means we're looking at something more like 4 or 5 weeks. But still, the fact that we're even this close again speaks volumes. Just a few years ago, a vehicle like Starship was pure science fiction. A stainless steel tower taller than the Statue of Liberty, fully reusable, capable of carrying over 100 metric tons to orbit? Unimaginable. And now, we're testing it, blowing it up sometimes, sure, but also flying it. And soon, perhaps, landing it. Meanwhile, if you're still here, yes, we're breaking the fourth wall for a second. It's probably because you love spaceflight just as much as we do. And if that's true, you might want to consider supporting the channel by becoming a member right here on YouTube. We're rolling out a brand new set of perks for members, including exclusive early access to our one-of-a-kind 3D renderings, sneak peeks at what we look like in real life, and even more behind-the-scenes content in the works. Supporting us helps keep this entire project alive, funding the animations, the research, the editing, the late nights and early mornings that go into bringing you these stories. And make no mistake, there are so many more stories to come. Because the moon isn't just a destination anymore. It's becoming a neighborhood, a proving ground, a new frontier for humanity's next great leap. From Blue Origin's massive new lander to Korea's long-term economic vision, to the relentless pace of SpaceX and Starship, the future of lunar exploration is no longer just a dream, it's a race. And it's one we're all a part of, whether we're engineers, astronauts, or just fascinated viewers watching from home. So stay tuned because what's coming next is going to be out of this world.